Alright everybody, so I've spent over a week with the Galaxy A14 5G and I have to say I really like this device, and in this review I'm going to be telling you pretty much everything you need to know about this device before purchasing it. Also, if you should upgrade to this phone from whatever A series device you have or any other phone or whatever for that matter. But we're going to go over everything that I've noticed in the full, I believe, a week and a half that I've used this device. Let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so we're going to go with the design and the body first. This is going to be all made out of plastic, the back and the sides, and of course our display is going to be made out of glass. We'll take a look at the display in a second, but first and foremost, the biggest change, we can see the design. So as you guys saw on the Galaxy A13 5G, we kind of had this clear plastic back that peered off into the sides, but as you guys see, the design has now been updated with this textured back right here, and this is almost looking like a unibody design. So it looks much better in my opinion. It looks like a much newer device, like a Galaxy S23 or a Galaxy S22. The other one kind of looked a little cheap, and this is definitely going to look more of like a flagship device. Now obviously we're going to take a look at the cameras and some of the samples that we took in a little bit, but obviously we have our 50 megapixel front facing camera, we have our 2 megapixel depth sensor, and our 2 megapixel macro camera. That main sensor is also going to double as a wide angle camera, but there is no ultra wide on this. I know it's kind of a bummer, but I can live without it. We also have our flash right there, but it's a very minimalistic design, and I definitely like this new design. I think it looks sleek, I think it looks sexy, it just may be a tiny bit thick for my liking. Going to the right side of the device, obviously we have our volume up and down rocker, and as you guys can see, we have our side mounted fingerprint sensor that we had before, and this is actually a quite quick fingerprint sensor, as you guys can see right here. It's pretty accurate. So I don't have any issues with the fingerprint sensor right there. One thing to note, there may be some errors if you guys do have some moisture or a wet finger on there, so do look out for that. But other than that, it's a pretty decent fingerprint sensor. And once again, Samsung has graced us with that 3.5mm headphone jack, our noise canceling mic, and our mono speaker. So we don't have two speakers on this, we only have one sadly, but it's still a decent speaker. And there should be enough room so you guys don't cover it up when playing video games. We have our SIM tray right here where we can actually expand our storage via micro SD card up to a whole 1 terabyte. So grateful that they give us that expansion of storage right here. Now the biggest upgrade that I've noticed thus far has to be the display. So on our A13 5G we had 720p and we had a 270 ppi. Now on the Galaxy A14 5G we have a much nicer display. So we have a full HD plus display that's 1920 by 1080p, also a 400 ppi. So we have 130 more pixels per inch on the A14. So it looks much more pixel dense, looks much nicer, and I think it's even a brighter display I've noticed in daylight as well. Alright guys, so getting into our software right here, it says we have One UI core version 5.0 on Android version 13. So we have Android 13. We have the latest software on this device. Do notice that we do actually have UI core 5.0. We don't have regular UI 5.0 that's on the mid-range to flagship devices. We'll talk about the difference between this and those devices in a second, but we also are promised 2 years of operating system updates, which is more than adequate. Great, we're going to see Android 15 on this device. Hallelujah. We also have 4 years of security patches on this device as well. So you guys are going to be secure for quite a while with this device when you guys get those upgrades. Now the difference between the core UI 5.0 and the regular UI 5.0 is this actually misses some features. So it actually has to be optimized because of the processor that we have inside of this. The more powerful devices, you get the regular UI 5.0. Now with this $199 device, we kind of get a simulated version of that. I don't want to say simulated, let's say light, L-I-T-E. We get a light version of it. So with core UI 5.0, we do not have always on display, we don't have our built-in screen recorder, we don't have our secure folder, we don't have Samsung DeX, and we don't have link to Windows. Now, if one of those features is a make it or break it, this may not be the phone for you, but those features are kind of more premium features and they are not available on the A14 5G. They may be later if we have some software updates or something like that, but it is not available right now. Now, the features we do have, of course, I showed this in the tips and tricks video that was really cool. We have, of course, our color palette, and we have the option to change our notification and clock toggle, and of course the other flashlight that I put right there that used to be phone, we can go ahead and edit that information that, you know, the regular UI 5.0 gives us. So that is how the UI is going to look. We are missing those features. I know some people like always on display, and someone asked about the secure folder already, so I had to break them the news today that I didn't have it. But other than that, I think the software is decent on this device. I think the optimization is great, and I think Samsung did a good job with this. Now, of course, getting into the internals now. So we have 4 gigabytes of RAM on this device, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, which may be a little bit low, but we have that expansion for up to terabyte. We have about 44 gigabytes after everything's set up, said and done. And we also have the MediaTek Dimensity 700 processor in here, the same processor that we saw on the Galaxy A13 5G, sadly. So we have the same processor. It is going to be more optimized because, of course, we have the new software inside of this. So the device is going to run a little bit better. But as far as upgrading, I'll go ahead and answer this now. I don't think if you have the Galaxy A13 5G, I don't think this is going to be an amazing upgrade. I think the two biggest factors are of course going to be the body and the display. Everything other than that, performance is going to be a little bit better, but I don't think it's enough to justify spending another $200 just a year after. But if you got money like that, then go ahead and do so. But as far as the performance goes, the performance for day-to-day stuff like going into social media, watching YouTube, Netflix, playing video games has actually been pretty good on this device. We did have a few hiccups in Genshin Impact, but that is, you know, to be understood. That game is a huge graphically intense game, so you can play it. It's going to be on low settings. But other games like PUBG, Asphalt 8, and of course Call of Duty Mobile, one of our favorites, plays effortlessly. Great thing about this too is, of course, I forgot to mention this, we have a 90 hertz refresh rate on this, so this looks a lot better than your regular 60 hertz display, and it's definitely noticeable. It's not 120 hertz, it's not a huge upgrade. We did have 90 hertz on the A13, I believe, so 90 hertz is on here still. Just grateful that we do have a higher refresh rate. Now, getting into the battery on this device, we have a very, very good battery inside of here. We have a 5,000 milliamp battery inside of this device, so you guys are going to be able to get almost 2 days of battery life on this device. It does have a 15 watt wired charge rate on this device, so it doesn't charge the quickest. Thankfully, it's not the 10 watts that we saw on the Moto G Play 2023. It is actually a lot faster than that phone at charging. But the sucky thing is we don't actually have a charging brick inside this box. So if you guys don't have a charging brick, you may need to go on Amazon and purchase one. They're only around $5 to $10 though for a 15 watt charger, so it's kind of inexpensive. Also, a lot of prepaid carriers and postpaid carriers, if you're at the store, they'll just throw it in the box. For me, they actually just gave me a free one, so you may get lucky and that may happen. But if not, it's a pretty cheap fix. But charges at 15 watts. I don't think it charges too slow. I actually think it's a quicker type of charge. But this battery at 5,000 milliamps lasts all day, maybe even 2 days. I think some people will definitely be able to go 2 days with this battery, but great battery life on this. I have no gripes with the battery life at all. Now, getting into the camera on this device, I have taken some photos already, so I'll just go ahead and pop those on the screen for you guys. But the photos have actually been pretty good on this. I was actually very impressed with the photos that I took when we were using portrait mode. We had some very nice colors. The contrast is great. The clarity is great. The biggest optimization right here is going to be from software, not the hardware end. I think they have the same sensors that we had in the Galaxy A13, but I noticed even in low light photos, like if you guys see this one right here, where I have my black crew neck and, you know, there's no noise at all. And this is actually technically in the dark. We have a little bit of light shining behind there, but I showed an example of the Galaxy A13 5G and there was noise all at the bottom of the display, and it was creating this weird little beauty effect on my face as well. So the optimization was definitely improved, you know, obviously because of Android 13 Core 5.0. So the software inside this device is going to be better, and it is going to optimize the camera more. So you guys are going to see improvements. They are small improvements, but you're going to see improvements in low light photos, and of course the video quality as well. The video, I'll go ahead and show some right here, but the video quality looks pretty decent. The speaker is okay as well, and we'll show you some of that right now. Now this is the rear facing camera, 1080p 30 frames per second. This is the highest it goes up to, by the way, so there's no 4K or there's no 60 frames per second, and I'm not mad at that because some of the things that I've seen from entry-level devices are just really, really bad. So I'm not mad at this. For $200, I don't think it's terrible. I think, of course, you can get a much better camera in a device on something that's like Amazon renewed, like the Galaxy S10 Plus or the Galaxy S10e for around $200. Of course, you'll have a better camera experience, but the software is just not going to be there. We're going to go ahead and try out 2x zoom as well. That's 2x zoom. We're going to go and zoom in 10 times right here. This is 4, 2, and of course 1. So that is how it looks. Stabilization looks to be okay so far. Let me know what you guys think. 1080p 30 frames per second test right here. This is how it looks. The mic, from what I've heard so far, is actually pretty loud. But this is how it looks. Also, it seems the stabilization has gotten a little bit better, if you guys noticed that as well. The video on this, of course, shoots at 1080p 30 frames per second for your front and rear facing camera. Of course, we have our wide angle camera on our front facing camera as well. Macro mode did struggle on this phone, so macro mode isn't going to be the greatest of all time. You guys can get some decent shots if you do take your time, but you kind of have to hold it there and be a little bit accurate. It does take some patience to take a good macro photo. But other than that, the camera is a solid camera, and at $199, I don't even think we could dream of a camera that we get in the Galaxy A14, 4 or 5 years ago. We couldn't even dream of having a camera this good, at $199. And considering inflation and everything, this device is extremely solid. Now, the other thing I might add, if you go on the Samsung website and pick up one of these devices, I think the only color that's available currently is black, but they do have some other colors, so you guys may want to wait later on till it's available on, of course, Amazon, or they just have some more colors on Samsung. But they do actually have 3 more colors. We have light green, we have dark red, and we have silver, as seen on the screen right here. All beautiful, beautiful, sexy colors. But I'm going to answer 2 questions for the verdict of this device. If you guys need an unlocked device that you can watch Netflix on, that you can play video games on, that has good battery life but doesn't have all of those crazy features that we have in the regular UI 5.0 that we see on the mid-range and flagship devices, you are going to be more than content with the Galaxy A14 5G. It's a great device. It gives you some great features. It has enough power for the average person, and the display quality actually is a lot better than the A13 5G. So I do recommend this device if you're looking for a phone around $200, completely unlocked and brand new. I know there's a lot of other devices that are around this price tag that are renewed, but you guys aren't going to be getting the great updates that we have. So if you want to get a used flagship, you can, but if you want a brand new device that's going to receive updates for the next 4 years, this is definitely a great option you guys can go ahead and pick up. And if you love Samsung, great. This is going to be a great device for you. If you're used to the UI, this is going to be no different than any other device, obviously, other than a few of the new features that we have on this. Now, the other question I have to answer is, should you upgrade from the Galaxy A13 5G? So, as you guys notice, as I stated before, this does have the same processor we had in the Galaxy A13 5G, which is, of course, the MediaTek Dimensity 700 processor. So, that's kind of the biggest thing I'd look for, is if they raise the RAM and they raise the power of the chipset as well as everything else. But there wasn't that much of a difference between the A13 and the A14 5G. The power increase just wasn't there. They did add some new great things on this device, don't get me wrong. We got a beautiful looking body on this device with that textured back, and it looks kind of like a Galaxy S22 Ultra. And we also have our beautiful display we have right here. Now, I don't think that's enough to upgrade. I know some people out there may think it, and you guys can go ahead and pick up the device. But if you have the A13 5G, I couldn't say in a good conscience, go pick up this device. This is enough for you to upgrade your device. I feel like this is the definitive version of a Galaxy A13, and this is what it should have been like. But in good conscience, I don't think you should upgrade from the A13 5G to the A14. There's just not enough stuff. Of course, there's optimization in the camera that we saw right there, but it's very, very little. But other than that, I can can recommend this phone, of course. I've really enjoyed this device. I know there were some make it or break it things, like is there a secure folder? That's why I just wanted to lay out all this information for you guys in just one, little swoop right here. So this is the Galaxy A14 5G. It's a great entry-level device. It's probably one of the phones I dreamed of having 5 years ago in the budget or entry-level space, and it's great phone for $199. I can absolutely recommend it. Yeah guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I answered most of the questions you guys wanted to know about the A14 5G. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day. This has been Stefan from TechRight. Peace out, Tech Gang.